It's kind of wild to think that the first Money in the Bank ladder match was in 2005, I think it was, which was at WrestleMania 21. So we've
Mhm.
had 15 years of the Money in the Bank gimmick, which was created by Chris Jericho for Mania 21. And the question I wanted to pose to you, Laurie, is it WWE's greatest gimmick match?
Well, I think what's interesting about the Money in the Bank ladder match is that I don't think the match itself is the greatest gimmick. Like it is just another ladder match. And as we all know, ladder matches has been vastly improved by the addition of chairs and tables. The TLC match existing is a much better thing. But I think what makes the Money in the Bank ladder match so brilliant is the ramifications of winning. And
Mm.
I think that is its key and the crux to it. And I love the things they've done with the briefcase over the years. I think the fact that you have the power once you own the briefcase, you have the power to just ruin somebody's day by walking out holding it. I think
Yeah.
is immense. And I love the idea that you have this thing that just hovers over a whole bracket of WWE for up to a year, and they have chosen before to basically run most of that time out before making the big decision at like a WrestleMania or whatever. Like, I just think it can be an absolutely genius gimmick if deployed correctly. Obviously, there have been many examples of them not necessarily using it to the best of its ability, but I think people like Seth Rollins, the heist of the century, Edge, have all made great use of that briefcase to upset the apple cart of another wrestler and cement a heel turn or cement themselves as a star. Um, I just think it has star making potential. What about you?
Yeah, that I think that's a real good key to it actually, is that sort of star making potential around it because, going into Mania 21, Edge's gimmick was that he wanted to be a title contender, but he was kind of he wasn't in that championship picture. But him winning that Money in the Bank briefcase and then holding on to it for so long, it was Mania in April, and he cashed it in January the following year,
Hmm.
carried that thing around with him a long time. And then he cashed it in January 2006. That made him a star. It
Hmm.
sucked that he lost the belt straight back to Cena, like a couple of weeks later or whatever it was, but it did cement him in that top level. It made Edge look like he was a top contender now, and so it really did wonders for him. Same with Rob Van Dam for the brief period of time after he won it, and the cash in for One Night Stand 2006. Again, absolutely amazing. It maybe didn't work out so well for people like CM Punk, because he was treated like a joke even after he had cashed in and won, or Jack Swagger when he cashed in and won. But for the most part, I would say that it's been handled really, really well, and I think that it's been, the Royal Rumble will always be like the king of match gimmicks that get you title shots, I guess, kind of in a way, but
Hmm.
maybe Money in the Bank has superseded it, and that's the one that people are maybe more excited for Money in the Bank now than they are the Royal Rumble.
I think 'cause it's malleable, right? Like, I think you can do so much with it. I think we've seen various different forms of cash in. There is the shock, I'm going to run out and use it to, at the end of a match when somebody's already beaten, to stake my claim and then win that match. And win the title, basically stealing it from somebody. We've seen Braun Strowman do the honorable thing and say, I'm going to cash it in now, and I'm going to use that to put me over more as a baby face and say that, I'm not going to attack you from behind. I'm not going to sneak around. I'm going to stay up front that, I am coming for you. Here is my reason. We've seen people like Brock Lesnar even have it, which, admittedly, he won it in a match he wasn't even in. But I think what was great about the Brock Lesnar thing was that it brought out this goofy side of Brock that I don't think we've seen
Oh
very
yeah.
often. And I really liked Brock Party. I really liked the what it allowed him to do was play up that bit of his character where he knows he's bigger and stronger than you are, and he knows he's going to mess with you. And now he's got a thing where at any point he can just go, well, if when I want that back, I can have that back.
Yeah.
So it just gives you so much power to play with, whatever side of the line you fall on, whether that be babyface or like uber heel. I think it works better for heels, definitely, because there's much more manipulation there that you can do with it. I think it's a very psychological gimmick to
Mhm.
play with. But I think just anyone having that briefcase adds this um, I guess this force of will to their arc, this idea in the minds of the audience kind of sinks in that there is some greater purpose to that character. Like they're going to go somewhere with that. You know, Baron Corbin aside, who got completely dunked on when he had the briefcase. But like I think most people, it gives the audience the sense that, you know, you should invest in this person because they are going to be a star. They literally have the briefcase that will make them a star. And you feel like everything in their run from that point is important because it could all be leading to a championship at some point.
Yeah, and it could be their first title win in the case of people like Punk, Swagger, RVD,
Mhm.
Edge. It's funny actually you mentioned the Brock Party thing. It was shared on Twitter, the segment where Brock finds out that he's got a year to cash it in because he was like ready to cash it in as soon as he got it. And
Mm.
then Paul Heyman's cutting a promo saying he's got 1 year. And Brock just off camera goes like, "Whoa, hold on. I've got a year to do this." And him and Heyman having an argument with Heyman shouting, "You didn't know?" It's like, "No, I didn't know."
Yeah, I just think it adds so much to people like Brock and you know, you're so used to seeing Brock with the belt. To see Brock as the I am just the number one contender forever because I literally hold a contract that I can use whenever I like.
Mhm.
It just gives you so much to play with, and I think wrestling is all about toying with characters and sort of testing the bandwidth of a gimmick to see like, does it fit in this scenario, does it fit in that scenario, does it fit in this other scenario? And the Money in the Bank briefcase is a brilliant bit of kit to give somebody to just make them go, well, you know, now I have a lot of power and I can choose to wield that power in multiple different ways.
Yeah, I think it might be WWE's greatest gimmick match that they currently
Hmm.
have, only because, as you like quite brilliantly said, it adds so much drama to the rest of the year. I mean, it could be a case of they cash in on that night. We've seen that before. Kane
Hmm.
won it at Money in the Bank 2010, I think it was, and cashed in on Rey Mysterio that same evening.
Hmm.
Bailey did it last year at Money in the Bank. Or it could be something that they just hold on to for quite, for a long, long time, like your Edges and your Rollins, to create a whole semblance of drama. And in many respects, not every respect, because you've got your Baron Corbins and your Damien Sandows, but in most respects, it has created new stars.
Mm. I think they've got the, you know, like before when they were choosing to do things like cash it in on the same night. That is the short term play of being like, well, we're just going to get the big pop at the pay per view. People kind of expect that now. But I
Mhm.
think what's great is because they now have the women's Money in the Bank ladder match as well, they get the best of both worlds. They can choose where they want to do who's going to get the long play and who's going to get the short, immediate, sharp push to get
Yeah.
that to close that pay per view out with some big shock twist ending. Basically, I just think it's got so much you can do with it. And like, yeah, I think the Rumble is definitely their biggest spectacle, and probably, you know, it's my favorite pay per view of the year. But the Money in the Bank ladder match, I think, has that lasting impact that you spend your time thinking about for the rest of the year.